As I look at the whole arrangement, it's incredible is how deeply men believe in the myth of their own indispensability. They walk around convinced that everything would collapse without their constant effort. The bills, the house, the relationship, the world itself. It's almost touching, really, like watching someone guard a door that isn't actually locked. This belief is one of the most effective tools in keeping them obedient. If you can convince someone that the entire structure depends on them, they'll work themselves to exhaustion without ever questioning why they're the only one sweating. They'll take pride in burdens that were never theirs to carry alone. And the irony is that we, who benefit from this setup, rarely need to say anything outright. A simple, "I don't know what I'd do without you," is enough to keep a man chained to responsibilities he never chose. It's a brilliant strategy. Make him feel heroic for doing the work, and he'll never notice that he's the only one doing it. What fascinates me is how men cling to this illusion even when it clearly drains them. They'll brag about their sacrifices as if they were medals. They'll talk about how hard they work, how much they provide, how essential they are, all while ignoring the fact that they're the ones who volunteered for the role in the first place. And when you point this out, they get defensive. Not because they disagree, but because the truth threatens the one thing they've been taught to rely on, the idea that their worth comes from being needed. Take that away, and they're forced to confront a terrifying possibility, that they've been living for someone else's comfort, not their own purpose. But here's the twist. Once a man starts questioning this narrative, even a little, the whole illusion begins to unravel. He starts noticing how often he's praised for his sacrifices, how rarely he's asked what he wants, how easily his sense of duty can be manipulated. Most people prefer the comfort of familiar roles, but I do enjoy watching the moment when a man realizes that the pedestal he thought he was standing on is actually a treadmill, and that he's the one who's been keeping it running. There's one more detail that always makes me shake my head. Men don't just accept their burdens, they compete over them. It's almost comical. Give two men the same exhausting responsibility, and instead of questioning why they're both doing it, they'll argue about who does it better. This competitive streak is one of the most reliable tools in keeping them busy. You don't need to pressure a man to work harder if you can convince him another man is doing more. Suddenly, he's volunteering for extra tasks, pushing himself further, all in the name of proving something no one actually asked him to prove. And the beauty of it? This rivalry rarely benefits the men themselves. It benefits the people who get to sit back and enjoy the results. While men are busy out sacrificing each other, someone else is quietly collecting the rewards. They don't see competition as manipulation, they see it as honor. They think they're striving for excellence, when in reality, they're just reinforcing the very system that drains them. The competition is too intoxicating, the praise too addictive. But every now and then, one of them steps back, looks at the scoreboard, and realizes he's been winning a game that never rewarded him in the first place. There's a final detail that always makes me pause. Men don't just accept their role as providers, they romanticize it. They turn their own exploitation into a kind of personal mythology. It's remarkable. A man will describe his sacrifices with the same pride someone else might use to describe a great adventure. The long hours, the stress, the constant pressure, he turns all of it into a story about honor, as if exhaustion were a badge of masculinity. And this is where the system becomes almost self-sustaining. You don't need to pressure a man to work harder if he's already convinced that suffering is noble. The way men reinterpret their own discomfort as meaning is remarkable. They'll say things like, "I'm doing this for my family," or "This is what a real man does," and suddenly the burden feels lighter, not because it is lighter, but because they've wrapped it in purpose. It's a clever psychological trick, and the best part is that they perform it on themselves. No one has to tell them to be proud of their sacrifices. They've already internalized the script. They've learned to see their own exhaustion as proof of their worth. And once a man believes that, he becomes almost impossible to free. Why would he question a system that gives him a sense of identity? Why would he rebel against a role that makes him feel important, even if it drains him? But here's the irony. The moment he stops romanticizing his sacrifices, the whole structure starts to look absurd. He begins to see how much he gives and how little he receives. He notices how often his heroism is taken for granted, and once that illusion cracks, it's very hard to repair.